All right, so after the death of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor last year, one dad sat down with his two young sons and nephew to talk about the importance of why Black lives matter.
Yeah, now he's written a children's book to really help other parents and their kids have the same conversation. Please welcome to the Pick 7 Morning News, actor and author of The Ellises and The Time Machine, Why Do We Have to Say Black Lives Matter, Devale Ellis. Good morning to you, Devale.
Good morning. How you guys?
Doing well, sir. Thank you. And, what was your inspiration for writing this book after that conversation with your own kids?
Well, realistically, it was just adding context to the history that my son was learning while he was in school. Black history is not considered American history throughout the curriculum in America. So my son was asking a lot of questions, and I felt a responsibility as a Black father to give him full context of why we have to say Black Lives Matter. And he asked the question, and he followed up with saying, doesn't everyone know that? And I was just like, wow, if he knew the history from slavery to black codes to redlining, Jim Crow, mass incarceration, he wouldn't ask me that question, and we wouldn't be asked that question either.
Right. Yeah, you had to sit down and have the talk with him, right, to explain all these things. So define to us what that talk was. What did it entail?
Well, what a lot of people don't realize is that because of everything Black people have had to go through and being marginalized and disenfranchised since we've been in this country in 1619, many Black parents have to have this talk with their children about how to deal with authority figures, how to deal with the criminal justice system, how to deal with police, because our interactions aren't the same as our white counterparts. For example, there was a point in this country where we were considered property and 3/5 of a human being. And to this day, the same thing still kind of holds true. When you come across a police officer, they look at us and they fear us, or they worry that we're going to be more aggressive, not only just because of the Constitution and the laws in the Constitution, but because of mass media and the way we're portrayed in mass media. There's a lot of fear that comes across when you come into Black communities, and the way that they've militarized police force in our communities have created tension in our communities. So it's important for Black parents to have this talk with their children so that they can come home safely and alive.
I'm wondering, I grew up as a white individual, never had to have that conversation with my parents about what it was like to interact with police. Did you have to have that talk when you were a teenager with your own parents? What did that go like? And did you use that as inspiration for your own kids?
No, it was definitely inspiration, and I'll never forget the day it happened. It was actually watching the Rodney King beating. We were watching A Different World, and the Rodney King beating came on television, and I was about 8 years old. And my mom was like shocked. My father was shocked, and I was like, "What's happening?" And they were explaining to me, and I was excited to see that it was finally caught on camera, because my mom was saying these are the things that Black people have to go through in the community. So I was like, good, it's caught on camera. Now there will be consequences and repercussions. And then I was heartbroken months later when all 4 police officers were acquitted and there were no charges brought up against the police. Not no charge, but they were acquitted of a crime, and I didn't understand why. And it was at that point my mom explained to me how things work in America and how they've been working. And it was pretty much the same exact situation. She explained to me about slavery and about Black codes and about Jim Crow, because my parents never wanted to teach hate. They never wanted me to say, just hate white people because things are different, hate Asian people, hate Spanish people. It was more about teaching history so that we don't repeat it in the future.
Right. So as other parents out there are having to have this talk, right, what kind of advice do you have for them? What are the main points that they really need to get at?
Well, the main points is explaining why this is happening. Explain that marginalization comes from us being a capitalist country, and it's ultimately all about money. The best way to keep money coming into this country is cheaper or free labor. And it's pretty much slavery by any other name. You took slavery and then you made it Black codes. You took Black codes, you made it redlining. You made it Jim Crow, and you created mass incarceration. The 13th Amendment says ultimately that slavery is illegal unless someone is guilty of committing a crime. So if you criminalize a people, and you make it that their existence makes them criminals, you ultimately make them slaves by another name. And what we're trying to teach people is that legislation has to change in order for racism to no longer exist in this country. We can protest, we can get rid of all the statues, we can have as many conversations as you want to have, but until legislation changes in this country and things are deemed illegal that make slavery legal by another name, we will never have change. And that's what I want people to understand.
And think about what you said, Devale. You're referencing Rodney King and how it was caught on camera. Think about how much has been caught on camera since, and every kid and teenager watching it since the Rodney King incident, right? So
Absolutely.
What are you hoping, and how, I'm sorry if I missed this, how old are your kids, and what are you hoping that the book will teach? All these things you're explaining?
Well, I have 3 sons, Jackson, Cairo, and Kaz. They're 9, 4, and 3. And ultimately, what I want to do is I just want to educate as many people as possible, not just Black people. I want to educate everyone to understand why we have to proclaim Black Lives Matter. Understand that the history of this country says that Black lives do not matter. It was in the Constitution saying that we were 3/5 of a human being and we were property. So we have a right to say Black Lives Matter. And it's not saying that Black lives matter more. It's just Black Lives Matter. You know, I use this analogy on another show. If you're in a neighborhood and a house is on fire and you call the authorities and the authorities come and they're spraying water on the house that's on fire, you don't say, wait a minute, all the houses matter. No, the house that's on fire matters. And if you think about the Black community, we've been under fire in this country since our inception in 1619, and we're just asking for a little bit of water. Just give us a little bit of water so we can get the flames off of our house and we can get some equality and we can be treated as human beings just like everyone else. And that's pretty much what I want everyone to see.
It is a profound message. It's deep, and it's something that our children need to know. And we appreciate you creating this book that's going to help us understand why Black lives do matter. Devale, thank you so much for spending some time with us today.
By the way, beautiful, beautiful family. Your kiddos, beautiful pictures.
No, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I just have to let you know my name is actually pronounced Devale.
My
mom
I'm sorry.
is going to kill me because it's Devale. Yes.
Yes.
My mom is going to kill me because she's just like, make sure they pronounce your name.
Mom, I'm sorry.
That's right, Mom.
Let me tell you, these moms, I know it.
Devale, thank you so much for speaking
Karen,
with us
my
today.
mom, Karen.
Hey, Karen.
I love you guys.
Love you too.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. Love you guys.
Ellises, love you back. And the Ellises in the Time Machine. Why do we have to say Black Lives Matter? Now available. Get your copy there. Devale, thank you very much.
I mean, he really provides so much information that gets a lot of parents thinking about how they have that talk, right?
Exactly.